The bridge of the Valksorian scout ship hummed with activity as the alien crew studied the blue planet growing larger on their view screen. Commander Zexval ran his six-fingered hand over the smooth control panel, his scaled skin reflecting the soft purple light of the instruments. "Primitive," he said with a dismissive click of his mandibles, just as our long-range scans indicated. His second-in-command, Officer Tulnar, nodded in agreement. "The dominant species has barely established a presence beyond their atmosphere. Our reports show only a small station orbiting their moon and a few research outposts on their neighboring red planet. The hegemony will be pleased. This system contains abundant resources and subjugation should require minimal effort." Commander Zexaval's eyes, multifaceted and gleaming, narrowed with satisfaction. "Prepare the first contact transmission. Use their primitive broadcast systems. Let us see how they respond to the glory of the Valksorian hegemony." Commander Alan Pierce was enjoying his morning coffee in the observation deck of Lunar Command Center when the alert sounded. The bitter liquid sloshed over the rim of his cup as he reached for his communicator. "Pierce here. What's the situation?" The voice of Lieutenant Diane Rivera came through clearly. "Sir, we've detected an unknown craft entering the solar system. It's on approach from the Kuiper Belt, moving at speeds our public records show as impossible." Pierce's expression hardened. "First contact protocol? Already initiated, sir. Admiral Blackwood is calling an emergency meeting in 10 minutes. On my way." Pierce took one last look at the Earth hanging majestically in the black void before him. The blue planet seemed peaceful, vulnerable even. Only a handful of people knew that appearance was carefully crafted. The conference room at Lunar Command buzzed with tension as Earth's defense leaders gathered around the oval table. Admiral Susan Blackwood stood at the head, her silver hair pulled back in a tight bun, her face a mask of calm determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "what we've prepared for during the past 40 years is now happening. An alien vessel has entered our solar system and is approaching Earth. Lieutenant Rivera, please brief us on the communication." Lieutenant Diane Rivera stepped forward. At 32, she was the youngest person in the room, but as head of xenolinguistics, her expertise was irreplaceable. "The message came through on multiple frequencies 10 minutes ago," she explained, adjusting her glasses. "Using our hidden quantum array, we've analyzed their language patterns. The translation is rough but clear. People of the Blue World, prepare for integration into the Valksorian hegemony. Resistance is unnecessary and discouraged. Your resources and labor will serve a greater purpose." A heavy silence fell over the room. Captain George Williams broke it with a snort. "Friendly bunch. What's our assessment of their capabilities?" asked Admiral Blackwood. General Peter Gonzalez, head of Earth Intelligence Division, activated the holographic display at the center of the table. A three-dimensional image of the alien ship appeared, rotating slowly. "Based on their propulsion, signatures and energy readings, they're approximately 200 years ahead of what they think our technology level is," he explained. "However, compared to our actual capabilities," he pressed a button, and the image changed to show Earth's true fleet, hidden throughout the solar system. "They're in for a surprise," he finished. Admiral Blackwood nodded. "The question is, do we reveal our hand immediately, or play along with their expectations?" Commander Pierce spoke up. "I suggest we maintain the deception, Admiral. Let them think we're primitive. It gives us time to assess their full strength and intentions." "Agreed," said Captain Laura Davidson, commander of the stealth cruiser Vigilant. "My ship can shadow their vessel without detection. We can gather intelligence while they think they're dealing with a pre-spacefaring civilization." Admiral Blackwood considered for a moment, then nodded decisively. "Very well. We proceed with Operation Looking Glass. We show them what they expect to see. A planet just beginning to reach for the stars, disorganized, technologically limited, and easily intimidated." She turned to Dr. Natalie Miller, Earth's chief diplomat. "Dr. Miller, you'll lead the official first contact team. Act suitably impressed and somewhat fearful." Dr. Miller smiled. "I was an actress before I was a diplomat, Admiral. I can play the part." "Lieutenant Frank Howard," Admiral Blackwood continued, addressing the young engineer. Your team will analyze any technology they openly display. Look for weaknesses. Yes, ma'am, Howard replied. Everyone else knows their roles. Remember, decades of preparation have led to this moment. Humanity appears divided and primitive on the surface, but beneath that, Admiral Blackwood's eyes hardened. We stand united and ready. As the meeting concluded, Commander Pierce approached Lieutenant Rivera in the corridor. How confident are you in your translation? He asked quietly. Rivera's expression was grim. Confident enough to know they've done this before. The language pattern suggests this is a standard procedure for them, finding worlds, declaring their intent to integrate them, and taking what they want. Pierce nodded slowly. And they expect no meaningful resistance. None whatsoever, Rivera confirmed. Their message contains what translates as Status Level 4, which seems to be their classification for pre-FTL civilizations. They think we're defenseless. A small smile touched Pierce's lips. Then we have the advantage of surprise. 3 days later, the Valksorian scout ship entered Earth orbit. By then, Earth had prepared its performance. Old-style rocket ships were visibly deployed. Outdated satellites were activated to scan the alien vessel with primitive radar. Radio transmissions expressing both fear and excitement flooded Earth's airwaves, all carefully scripted. In orbit above Mars, hidden by technology, the Valksorians couldn't detect. Captain George Williams watched through the advanced sensors of his ship, the Phantom. They're taking the bait, his first officer, Lieutenant Karen Phillips, observed. Yes, Williams agreed. And they're sending landing shuttles to Earth. Looks like Washington, D.C. On the White House lawn, a delegation led by Dr. Miller waited nervously, or so it appeared to the aliens. Behind her diplomatic smile, Dr. Miller was cataloging every detail of the approaching aliens for Earth's intelligence services. The shuttle door opened, and Ambassador Kaltar of the Valksorians emerged. Tall, with iridescent scales and 4 arms, he gazed down at the humans with barely concealed contempt. People of Earth, his translated voice boomed. You are fortunate. The Valksorian hegemony has chosen your world for integration. Submit peacefully, and you may serve as valued subjects. Dr. Miller stepped forward, her face showing practiced awe and trepidation. We welcome you to Earth, she said, her voice slightly trembling. Your arrival is unexpected. We have so much to learn from advanced beings such as yourselves. As the public first contact proceeded, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Blackwood watched the feed from her true command center. Status of the fleet? She asked. All ships at ready positions, her aide reported. The lunar battalions are armed and waiting. Mars defense grid is online but dormant. Blackwood nodded, satisfaction in her eyes. Now we wait, she said. Let them underestimate us a little longer. The trap was set. Earth, appearing helpless, was anything but. The Valksorians had expected awe. Soon they would experience shock. The meeting room in the White House was tense as Dr. Natalie Miller sat across from Ambassador Kaltar. The alien's 4 arms were folded across his chest in a display of superiority, while his aide stood behind him, recording the conversation. As I was saying, Ambassador Kaltar continued, the hegemony requires only minimal adjustments to your way of life. Your mining operations will be expanded. Your oceans will be harvested for certain minerals. A portion of your population will serve on our colony worlds. The rest may continue much as before. Dr. Miller nodded meekly, playing her role to perfection. That sounds generous. But our leaders have questions about the timeline. We are not used to space travel. Our technology is limited. The ambassador made a sound that seemed like laughter. Your rockets are indeed primitive, but do not worry. Our ships will transport your workers. We have done this many times with worlds far less developed than yours. May I ask how many worlds are part of your hegemony? Dr. Miller inquired, her voice deliberately timid. We have integrated 34 systems, the ambassador stated proudly. Earth will be the 35th. None have resisted once they understood the futility of opposition. While this conversation took place, Lieutenant Frank Howard was in a secured room beneath the White House. analyzing data from hidden sensors. The aliens had brought several devices with them, and each one was being scanned discreetly. "Look at this," he said to Major Lisa Hernandez, who stood watching the screens. "Their personal shields operate on a frequency that cycles every 3 seconds. Major Hernandez leaned closer. "Can we disrupt it?" Howard's eyes lit up. "Better. We can bypass it completely if we time it right. Every third cycle, there's a gap of 0.2 seconds. He tapped commands into his tablet, sending the information to Admiral Blackwood's secure server. On the Phantom, orbiting invisibly behind Mars, Captain George Williams received the data. "This could be useful," he told his weapons officer. "Update all ship targeting systems with this frequency pattern." The officer nodded. "Sending it to the fleet now, sir." Williams looked at the tactical display showing the 5 Valkyrian ships now in Earth orbit. They were impressive vessels by ordinary standards, but nothing compared to what Earth had hidden. "Any sign they suspect our true capabilities?" Williams asked. "None, sir," replied Lieutenant Karen Phillips. "They're conducting standard survey operations, scanning for resources, mapping population centers. They have no idea we're watching." Williams nodded. "Good. Continue monitoring." Back on Earth, the charade continued for 3 more days. The aliens set up a base of operations in what they believed was Earth's most advanced facility, a research center outside Washington, D.C. that had been specially prepared for this purpose. Everything they saw reinforced their belief that humans were technologically primitive. On the 4th day, a larger Valkyrian ship arrived. From his observation post on the Lunar Command Center, Commander Alan Pierce watched it approach. "They're bringing in the next phase," he told Admiral Blackwood via secure channel. "Looks like a processing vessel, probably meant to begin resource extraction." Blackwood's face on the screen was grim. "Then it's time for the next phase of our plan, too. Prepare your team for Operation Thunderstrike." Pierce nodded. "Yes, Admiral." He ended the transmission and turned to Lieutenant Diane Rivera, who had been working tirelessly to decode more of the alien communications. "What's the latest?" he asked. Rivera looked up from her station. "They're calling for industrial machinery. They plan to begin mining operations in the Arctic and deep sea trenches within a week." "And, sir?" Her voice lowered. "They've requested human samples." "Samples?" Pierce's eyes narrowed. "Yes. They want to test our physical capabilities, determine which roles humans can fill in their labor force." Pierce's jaw tightened. "Tell Dr. Miller to stall. We need 48 more hours to get everything in position." In the renamed Earth Integration Center, Dr. Miller was again meeting with Ambassador Kaltar when a human aide rushed in with a message. Dr. Miller read it, then looked up with an expression of alarm that was only partly faked. "Ambassador, I've just been informed that several of our nations are expressing concerns about the integration process. Some are threatening independent action." The ambassador's expression didn't change. This was expected. Primitive worlds often have trouble grasping the concept of unified governance. Which regions are causing trouble? "Russia and China primarily," Dr. Miller said, naming the countries as planned. "They have their own military forces and don't recognize our authority to speak for the entire planet." This was all part of the deception. Earth had been unified for decades, but the aliens didn't need to know that. Ambassador Kaltar made a dismissive gesture with his upper right arm. "A minor inconvenience. We will deploy ships to those regions and demonstrate our power. A simple show of force usually resolves such misunderstandings." Dr. Miller looked concerned. "Would that involve destruction?" "Limited," the ambassador replied. "We find that destroying 1 or 2 important structures is usually sufficient." Dr. Miller lowered her eyes. "I see." That evening, Commander Pierce met with his strike team in the secret facility beneath the Lincoln Memorial. 20 men and women in black uniforms listened intently as he outlined their mission. The Valkyrians plan to deploy 3 ships tomorrow to intimidate what they believe are rebellious nations, he explained. "This gives us our opening. Captain Eric Bennett will lead the response team." Captain Bennett stepped forward. "Our mission is to reveal just enough of our capabilities to make them pause, but not enough to show our full hand. We'll deploy the older model fighters from the Siberian bunker. They're advanced enough to surprise the aliens, but outdated by our current standards. A tactical officer raised her hand. What if they call for backup? We're counting on it, Pierce answered with a slight smile. Admiral Blackwood wants their main fleet to commit. The more ships they bring to our solar system, the more we can eliminate at once. In orbit around Jupiter, hidden in the massive radiation field that helped mask their presence, Earth's true fleet was assembling. Enormous carriers, sleek destroyers, and advanced battleships moved into formation, their hulls dark against the gas giant. Grand Admiral Joseph Carter stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as the final ships took their positions. "Status report," he commanded. His executive officer responded promptly. "All battle groups in position, sir. Mars defense grid at full capacity but dormant. Jupiter fleet armed and ready. Europa submarines at launch depth." Carter nodded, satisfaction evident in his weathered face. "The Valxorians think they're hunting sheep. They have no idea they've walked into a wolf den." He turned to his communications officer. "Signal all commands. Operation Thunderstrike is approved. Phase 2 begins at Oro 600 tomorrow. Across the solar system, Earth's hidden forces acknowledged the order and prepared for battle. The trap was about to snap shut." Dawn broke over the Siberian wilderness as Captain Eric Bennett stood watching his pilots prepare for battle. 20 sleek fighters sat on the hidden runway, their surfaces designed to appear less advanced than they actually were. The pilots, dressed in slightly outdated flight suits, completed their final checks. "Remember," Bennett instructed them, "show only what we want them to see. Standard evasive maneuvers only. No quantum jumps, no phase shifting. Make it look like we're giving everything we've got just to stay alive." The pilots nodded. They understood their role in this elaborate deception. Lieutenant Samantha Green approached. "Captain, the Valxorian ships have entered Russian airspace. They're heading toward Moscow." Bennett checked his watch. "Right on schedule. Tell the pilots to mount up. We launch in 5 minutes." Across the world, similar scenes played out as Earth revealed small portions of its defensive capabilities. In Beijing, surface-to-air missile batteries that seemed only slightly more advanced than publicly known technology tracked the approaching alien vessel. In orbit, the Valxorians watched with mild interest. "The primitives are deploying their weapons," Officer Tolnar reported to Commander Zexaval. "Nothing concerning. Basic projectiles and crude energy weapons." Commander Zexval made a dismissive gesture. "Let them try. It will be educational for them to witness the futility of resistance." The 3 Valxorian warships descended through Earth's atmosphere, heading toward their targets. They expected no significant opposition. They were wrong. As the ship approaching Moscow came into range, Captain Bennett gave the order. "Eagle Squadron, launch now." 20 fighters rose from the hidden base, their engines roaring as they climbed rapidly through the clouds. On the Valxorian ship's bridge, alarms suddenly sounded. "Commander!" a sensor operator called out. "Multiple aircraft approaching. Their technology is unexpected." The Valxorian commander looked at the readings with surprise. "Impossible. Our scans showed nothing of this level." Bennett's voice came over the radio, broadcast on frequencies the aliens could intercept. "This is Earth Defense Squadron to alien vessel. You are violating sovereign airspace. Withdraw immediately." The Valxorian ship responded by firing a warning shot, a beam of energy that cut through the air near the lead fighters. "Evasive maneuvers," Bennett ordered calmly. "Weapons free. Remember the protocol." The Earth fighters broke formation with a precision that surprised the aliens. They darted around the larger vessel, firing weapons that were certainly more advanced than expected, but still not threatening to the Valxorian ship, until one fighter, piloted by Lieutenant Kevin Morris, fired directly at a spot where the shield cycled. The shot penetrated, causing a small explosion on the ship's hull. The Valxorian crew was stunned. "They breached our shields," the weapons officer exclaimed. "How is that possible?" Similar scenes played out over Beijing and Washington, D.C. Earth forces revealed themselves to be more capable than expected, but still seemingly no match for the alien technology. Yet they managed to cause enough damage to concern the invaders. His command center, Ambassador Kaltar, received the reports with growing anger. These humans are more advanced than our scouts indicated, he growled to his aides. And they seem to know about our shield cycling. This is unacceptable. He activated the communication system. Commander Zexval, withdraw your ships to orbit. I am calling for reinforcements. In the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Blackwood received the news with satisfaction. They took the bait, she told Commander Pierce. They're calling for their main fleet, Pierce nodded. How long until they arrive? Our deep space sensors indicate they're already on the move. Perhaps 48 hours. Then we have 2 days to prepare the real welcome party, Pierce said with a grim smile. On Earth, Dr. Miller was summoned to meet with an angry Ambassador Kaltar. Your people have chosen resistance, the ambassador stated coldly. This was unwise. Dr. Miller feigned fear. Please understand, Ambassador. Our world is divided. Those military forces acted without global approval. Many of us still wish for peaceful integration. The ambassador's 4 eyes narrowed. It is too late for that. The high command of the hegemony has been notified. Our main battle fleet is on its way. Earth will be subjugated, not integrated. What does that mean? Dr. Miller asked, letting her voice tremble. It means your military centers will be destroyed from orbit. Your resources will still be harvested, but fewer of your people will survive. The process. The ambassador's voice was cold. You have 24 hours to surrender all military assets or face extinction. Dr. Miller left the meeting and was escorted to a secure room where Commander Pierce waited. How did it go? He asked once they were alone. Dr. Miller's demeanor changed completely, her fearful expression replaced by calm determination. Exactly. As expected. They've issued the ultimatum. Their main fleet is on the way. Pierce nodded. Good. Admiral Blackwood has ordered Phase 3 to begin. All forces are moving into final positions. Throughout the solar system, Earth's true military might was mobilizing. From bases hidden beneath the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, advanced warships emerged. The Mars defense grid, dormant until now, began powering up its massive weapon systems. Deep under Earth's oceans, submarine carriers prepared to launch. On the Defiance, Grand Admiral Carter addressed the officers of Earth's unified fleet. For generations we have prepared for this moment, he said, his voice firm. Since the first signals were detected 70 years ago, we knew this day would come. Humanity united, built in secret, and waited. The enemy believes they face a primitive, divided world. They will instead face the combined might of a united Earth. The tactical display showed the approaching Valkyrian fleet, 50 large warships led by a massive dreadnought. They outnumber our visible forces, Carter continued. But they have no idea what awaits them. When they arrive, we will spring the trap. Operation Thunderstrike will commence with full force. Among the fleet, Captain Laura Patterson prepared her special operations team aboard the stealth destroyer, Shadowfall. Our mission is critical, she told her crew. While the main battle distracts them, we will approach their flagship and disable their engines. Without their command ship, their formation will break. In Earth orbit, the Valkyrians continued to believe they held the upper hand. More ships arrived, forming a blockade around the planet. Commander Zexval stood on his bridge, looking down at the blue world. Soon, he said to Officer Tulnar, they will understand true power. When our main fleet arrives, their resistance will be crushed. What about their unexpected technology? Tulnar asked cautiously. A minor concern, Zexval replied. They managed a few lucky strikes, nothing that can stand against a proper battle fleet. As the 24-hour deadline approached, Admiral Blackwood sent a message to all Earth forces, hidden and visible. All units, prepare for Phase 3. When the enemy fleet arrives, let them think victory is within their grasp. Then, on my command, reveal our true strength. Today, humanity stands its ground. The stage was set. The Valkyrians expected submission. They would receive the shock of their existence. The massive Valkyrian battle fleet arrived with a flash of light as 50 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. At their center, The enormous dreadnought, glory of the hegemony, dwarfed the other vessels. On its bridge, Fleet Commander Zexval stood tall, his scaled skin gleaming under the command lights. "Status report," he demanded. "All ships present and accounted for, Commander," his first officer replied. "Earth forces have been contained to their planet. Our advance team has them surrounded." Zexval nodded with satisfaction. "Send word to the humans. They have one final chance to surrender before we begin planetary bombardment." The message was transmitted to Earth, where it was received in the supposed highest human authority, a building in Geneva that was actually a cleverly disguised decoy. The Valksorians believed they were speaking to Earth's unified government, not realizing it was all theater. In the true command center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Blackwood received the ultimatum with a cold smile. "They're exactly where we want them," she said to her staff. "Commence Operation Thunderstrike on my mark." Throughout the solar system, hidden sensors tracked the alien fleet's every move. The Valksorians, confident in their superior numbers and technology, moved closer to Earth in a standard attack formation. "No sign they detect our forces," reported Vice Admiral Richard Moss from his post at the Mars Command. "They still think we're just a single-planet civilization." "Good," Admiral Blackwood replied through the quantum communicator that allowed instant communication across the solar system. "Captain Patterson, is your team in position?" Aboard the stealth ship Shadowfall, Captain Laura Patterson confirmed. "Yes, Admiral. We're alongside their flagship. They have no idea we're here." "Grand Admiral Carter, status of the main fleet?" Blackwood asked. From his position behind Jupiter, Carter's voice came through clearly. "All ships ready, Admiral. Awaiting your command." "Lieutenant Howard, status of the defense grid?" "Fully operational, Admiral. Shield disruptors calibrated to their frequency." Admiral Blackwood took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had prepared for across generations. All forces execute Thunderstrike now. Across the solar system, everything happened at once. On Mars, enormous doors slid open on the red planet's surface, revealing missile silos that had been hidden for decades. Hundreds of advanced rockets launched toward the unprepared alien fleet. From behind Jupiter, Earth's true battle fleet emerged, led by the massive carrier Defiance. 300 warships, far more advanced than anything the Valksorians had seen from Earth before, accelerated toward the enemy. Around Earth itself, what the aliens had thought were simple satellites suddenly transformed, weapons deploying as they revealed their true nature as orbital defense platforms. And most surprisingly, the moon itself seemed to change as sections of its surface slid aside, revealing the giant mass driver weapons built into the lunar body. On the bridge of his flagship, Fleet Commander Zexval could not believe the sensor readings. "Impossible," he shouted. "Where did these ships come from? Our scans showed nothing like this." His sensor officer worked frantically at the controls. "Sir, we're detecting hundreds of vessels emerging from behind Jupiter. More are rising from Mars. And the human's moon, it's armed." Before Zexval could issue orders, the first wave of missiles from Mars struck the rear of his fleet. Several smaller Valksorian ships exploded immediately, their shields failing against weapons specifically designed to bypass them. "Battle stations," Zexval commanded. "All ships, defensive formation, return fire." But the Valksorians had lost the advantage of surprise. Worse, they were caught in a carefully planned crossfire between Earth's orbital defenses, the Mars missile platforms, and the approaching main fleet. Captain Laura Patterson and her team made their move. The Shadowfall, completely invisible to Valksorian sensors, moved alongside the alien flagship. 20 special operations soldiers in advanced spacesuits launched from its airlock, using silent thrusters to approach the dreadnought's engine section. "Remember," Patterson instructed through the secure comm channel, "target the main power conduits exactly as planned." Lieutenant Howard's analysis was clear. Hit them there, and their entire propulsion system goes down. The team attached specialized explosive devices to the hull at precise points where the shields cycled. When detonated, they created small holes just long enough for the infiltration team to slip through. Meanwhile, the space battle grew in intensity. The Valksorians fought back fiercely, their weapons blazing across the void. Several Earthships took hits, but their advanced shields held. Lieutenant Kevin Morris led a fighter squadron through the chaos, targeting the smaller Valkyrian vessels with precision strikes. "Blue team, target their sensor arrays," he ordered. "Green team, follow me. We're going after their weapon systems." The human fighters moved with a coordination and skill that shocked the aliens. They executed maneuvers that should have been impossible, turning at speeds that would have killed less protected pilots. On the Defiance, Grand Admiral Carter watched the tactical display with intense focus. "Status report," he demanded. "Enemy fleet has lost 17 vessels," his executive officer reported. "We've lost 3. Captain Patterson's team has successfully boarded the enemy flagship." Carter nodded. "Signal all ships. Press the attack. Don't let them regroup." Aboard the Valkyrian flagship, panic was setting in. Fleet Commander Zexval struggled to maintain control as systems began failing across his ship. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Sir, engines are not responding," his engineer reported, "and we're detecting unauthorized access to our main computer core." "Impossible. How could they?" The bridge lights flickered and turned red as emergency power activated. "Sir," his communications officer interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from inside our ship." Captain Patterson's face appeared on the main view screen. "Attention Valkyrian Command. Your engines have been disabled. Your weapon systems will follow. This is your only warning. Surrender or be destroyed." Fleet Commander Zexval stared in disbelief. "Who are you people? How did you hide all this from us?" Patterson's expression remained neutral. "We've known about your kind for 70 years. We intercepted your signals, studied your technology, and prepared. While you saw what we wanted you to see, we built the most powerful defense force in this sector of the galaxy." Across the battlefield, the tide had turned completely. The Valkyrian fleet, caught by surprise and fighting an enemy far more advanced than expected, was being systematically dismantled. From her command center, Admiral Blackwood watched with grim satisfaction. "Status of the alien flagship?" she asked. "Captain, Patterson reports all critical systems under our control," her aide replied. "Fleet Commander Zexval is being escorted to the secure chamber. The rest of their fleet is in disarray." "Send the message to all remaining enemy vessels," Blackwood ordered. "They have 5 minutes to power down weapons and engines or they will be destroyed." One by one, the surviving Valkyrian ships complied, their lights dimming as they shut down their systems in surrender. Commander Alan Pierce approached Admiral Blackwood. "Message from Grand Admiral Carter, ma'am. Victory is confirmed. 80% of the alien fleet destroyed or captured. The rest have surrendered." Blackwood nodded slowly. "And so humanity joins the galactic stage, not as subjects, but as victors." The battle was over. The deception had worked perfectly. The Valkyrians had expected awe from a primitive species. Instead, they had witnessed the full might of Earth's hidden power. 1 week after the battle, Grand Admiral Joseph Carter stood in the observation lounge of the Defiance, watching as shuttles carried Valkyrian prisoners to the large transport ships that would return them to their home territory. Beside him, Fleet Commander Zexval, now a prisoner of war, looked out at the remnants of his once proud armada. "I still do not understand," the alien commander said, his voice subdued. "How did you hide all this from us?" Carter turned to face him. "For decades, we showed the galaxy only what we wanted it to see. After we detected your first signals 70 years ago, Earth united. We kept up the appearance of division while building our true strength in secret. But the technology," Zexval pressed. "Some of your ships have capabilities our scientists believed impossible." Carter nodded. "Necessity breeds innovation, Commander. Humanity spent centuries fighting itself. When we finally united, we turned those same minds toward defense against external threats." In another part of the solar system, Captain Laura Patterson guided her ship toward Venus, where Earth had established a secure facility to examine captured Valkyrian technology. Her special operations team had been recognized for their crucial role in disabling the alien flagship during the battle. "Captain," her communications officer called out, Admiral Blackwood is requesting your presence at the diplomatic summit tomorrow. Patterson raised an eyebrow. Did she say why? No, ma'am. Just that your experience with Valxorian systems would be valuable. Patterson nodded thoughtfully. The victory had changed everything. Earth was suddenly thrust onto the galactic stage, not as a newcomer, but as a power to be reckoned with. On Earth itself, in the real White House Situation Room, Dr. Natalie Miller prepared for the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. The Valxorian High Overseer Tulvek had arrived under heavy guard to discuss terms of surrender. Are you ready? Commander Alan Pierce asked her as they reviewed the negotiation strategy. As ready as anyone can be, Miller replied. We're about to reshape our place in the galaxy. Pierce smiled slightly. You played your role perfectly. The frightened diplomat act had them completely fooled. Years of practice, Miller said. But now comes the hard part. We need terms that ensure Earth's safety without pushing the hegemony toward another war once they rebuild. The next day, leaders from across Earth gathered in a grand hall built specifically for this historic occasion. The room was designed to project quiet power rather than intimidation. Earth had already made its point with its military might. High Overseer Tulvek entered with his small delegation, their once proud postures now reserved. Admiral Blackwood, Grand Admiral Carter, Secretary General Denise Crawford, and other key human leaders waited at a large round table. Secretary General Crawford spoke first. Welcome to the true Earth, Overseer Tulvek. We are prepared to discuss the terms that will define our future relationship. The alien leader looked around the room, taking in the calm confidence of the humans. Before we begin, I must ask, how long has Earth been unified? Our intelligence suggested your world was divided into competing nations. Crawford smiled slightly. Earth has been under single governance for 53 years. The apparent divisions were a carefully maintained deception, designed specifically for species like yours. You knew we were coming? Tulvek asked, surprised. Not you specifically, Admiral Blackwood explained. But we detected signals from multiple advanced civilizations. We studied them carefully and realized a common pattern. Technologically, advanced species often exploited those they perceived as weaker, so we hid our true capabilities. Lieutenant Frank Howard stepped forward with data tablets. These contain our proposed terms. In summary, we demand recognition of Earth and all human colonies as sovereign territory, reparations for your unprovoked aggression, and technological exchange as compensation. Tulvek received the tablet with a resigned gesture. The hegemony has never negotiated with a lesser species before. We are not lesser, Grand Admiral Carter said firmly. That misconception led to your defeat. We suggest you adjust your thinking accordingly. As the negotiations proceeded, Commander Pierce and Lieutenant Rivera worked in another room, preparing for their next mission. Maps of the galaxy were spread before them, highlighting territories controlled by the Valxorian hegemony and other major powers. The hegemony has subjugated 34 worlds, Rivera noted, pointing to different star systems. Many of them might become our allies if given the opportunity for freedom. Pierce nodded. That's our next step. Once this treaty is signed, we'll begin diplomatic outreach. Earth won't stay isolated anymore. 3 days later, the treaty was ready. Both sides gathered again in the Grand Hall as Secretary General Crawford and High Overseer Tulvek prepared to sign the document that would reshape galactic politics. This agreement recognizes Earth as a sovereign power, Crawford stated for the record. It establishes boundaries, reparations, and begins the process of freeing worlds taken by force into the hegemony. Tulvek signed with a ceremonial pen, his expression solemn. The hegemony acknowledges Earth's status and agrees to these terms under duress. Noted, Crawford replied coolly as she added her own signature. After the ceremony, Admiral Blackwood met with her senior staff on the Lunar Command Center. It's done, she told them. But this is just the beginning. The galaxy now knows about us, and not everyone will be pleased that a new power has emerged. Captain George Williams spoke up. What's our next move? Diplomatic missions to other worlds, Blackwood answered. Commander Pierce and Lieutenant Rivera will lead the first one. Meanwhile, we continue to strengthen our defenses and expand our presence in the solar system. Lieutenant Kevin Morris, who had distinguished himself during the battle, asked the question on many minds. Do you think there will be another war? Admiral Blackwood considered before answering. Possibly. The hegemony isn't the only power out there, but next time we won't be hiding. Earth has taken its place among the stars, and we'll face whatever comes as we are, united and strong. In the following months, Earth underwent a transformation. Hidden technology was brought into the open. Ships that had lurked behind planets now patrolled openly. Construction began on massive orbital stations around Earth, Mars, and other key points in the solar system. Commander Pierce and Lieutenant Rivera prepared for their first diplomatic mission aboard the newly commissioned vessel Endeavour. Their destination was Proxima Centauri, where they would establish Earth's first official embassy beyond the solar system. As the Endeavour prepared to depart, Pierce stood on the observation deck looking back at Earth. Beautiful, isn't it? Rivera said, joining him. Yes, he agreed. And now the rest of the galaxy will know what we've always known. What's that? She asked. Pierce smiled. That humanity should never be underestimated. The ship's engines hummed to life, and Earth's first diplomatic vessel began its journey to the stars, carrying with it the message that humans had arrived on the galactic stage. The aliens had expected awe from what they thought was a primitive species. Instead, they had learned respect for a civilization that had outsmarted them at every turn. Humanity's next chapter had begun,